Oh, so sorry.
Looks like it's for mine too.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. This is actually, I think, episode 31. I think we've only missed a couple of weeks this year. Is that right, Jen?
Episode 31, yep.
Wow. All right. So with me, as always, is our marketing director at Just the Tips Coaching, Jen Waybower, and our guest this morning is an amazing woman who I have a ton in common with and a ton of respect for, Jen Du Plessis. Jen, good morning.
Good morning.
And
Actually, it's afternoon where I'm at, but good morning.
it is afternoon where you're at. You're at home in DC, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay, or just outside in the suburbs there, but obviously straight from the It's a Small World files. You're actually from Colorado.
Yeah, I sure am.
Yeah,
Colorado native, born and raised.
very cool. That we hear a lot less of than people who live here that were not born in Colorado, of course.
Yeah.
For those of you watching, do understand that our episode may very well run a little long today just because there's so much great information and content and data that Jen may very well be sharing with us. So hang in there for that. It'll be well worth it, I promise. But Jen, I've got to start. You and I have obviously run in similar circles for a long time, but didn't get a chance to meet until just a couple of years ago when we shared the stage at Mortgage Revolution, or more affectionately known as Just the Tip. But we actually met the night before that event, and it's a wonderful story that you've actually regaled in the foreword that you wrote for my book, and thank you again for that. But for those of you that don't know the two of us or don't run in the same circles as the two of us, the night before Mortgage Revolution a couple of years ago, we held a private party. And because I'm not really much of a drinker, I agreed to tend bar and collect tips for the charity that we were honoring with the fees from Mortgage Revolution that year. And Jen legitimately thought I was the bartender. And nothing more, that we weren't about to share the stage together the next day, or that we ran in similar circles. And it really spawned some funny stories over the next couple of days and now for a couple of years. But it was really an auspicious meeting to how the really tight relationship that Jen and I now have began. So, and as I mentioned, Jen wrote the foreword for my book, Just the Tips, and Jen is a published author herself, in fact, a best-selling published author herself, and probably one of the most respected and prominent mortgage coaches, and certainly sales coaches, that exist today. And Jen, I'd really like to give you the floor for the majority of this going forward, because the number of ideas that you would have for people to be generating leads, whether they are other mortgage originators, real estate agents, and anybody who's got large ticket direct-to-consumer items, would certainly benefit from your wisdom and expertise. So know that our audience is going to be mostly agents and originators. Know that we do typically get into really focusing on lead generation techniques and tactics, real rubber to the road traction kind of stuff. And this is an area where you are also an expert, so lay it on us.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, hopefully you stay on here because I want you to interject and ask questions too.
Absolutely.
But thank you. Yeah, and I just want to say, in Adam's the way that he is, I'll just say in his personality, he just dragged me along in that atmosphere that we were in because in my typical nature, I'm just chit chatting with everybody and didn't know that he was a speaker. And this is the way I am too, is just, I thought, oh, he's just a bartender, but I love talking to people, right? So I was chit chatting and I'm extremely naive, I have to tell you. And so anybody can pull the wool over my eyes anytime. But it was really fun. But I want to talk, well, and I did talk about it in the foreword. I thought it was pretty interesting because we all come in so many shapes and sizes, and there's success in all of that, right? So I think the one thing that I want to say to you today, talking about that is, in fact, I have this here on my desk all the time. I'm going to share it with you. But, I think this is really, really important, is that you need to be yourself because everybody else is taken. And if there's one thing I could leave with you today is just try not to be like everybody else, no matter what you're doing to do lead generation. Make sure that you're just being genuine to yourself because it will come through. People can see it. And, the way that Adam generates business is completely different than the way I generate business, which is completely different than probably the way that you generate business. So the idea here is for us to take little nuggets from one another, to learn how to, generate business that works best for us. So that's the key takeaway that I'm going to say right now that you need to have today. And I don't know, depending on how long we talk here, I may have another key takeaway because that's how I am.
And before we get too far into it, I do want to mention to our audience, and I'll have Jen post the link here in the video while we're doing this. Jen's got an amazing podcast for you guys. I've been a guest on it. We've got a private mastermind event for essentially my coaching clients coming up here next month. Jen is going to attend and speak at that, and most of the other attendees are going to be speakers on or guests on your podcast as well. So I'll have Jen track down the link for that and post it for everybody watching because it is it's almost a nightly listening ritual for me, and I would highly, highly recommend it. All right, but. Yeah. I digress. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And the name of the podcast is, Jen, just while you're looking for it, it's Stop Talking, Take Action, Get Results.
Okay.
Okay. So for those of you, it used to be called Mortgage Lending Mastery, and that's before I left the business. I retired a year ago, and I shouldn't say retired. I transitioned a year ago. And my husband's still in the business. He took over my practice, our practice. And, but I was the lead, so I always felt that. And he's still in the business. He's been in for 25 years. He said, well, when am I going to be able to leave? And I said, well, you've only been in for 25. You have to be in for 35 before you can start considering to leave. And in the podcast started morphing into, personal and professional development. And that's why I called it Stop Talking, Take Action, Get Results. Because actually, my book, Launch, How to Take Your Business to New Heights, I really wanted to call it Just Shut Up and Go Do It. And my publisher said that was too mean. So I ended up going in a different direction, but that's why it is. So, okay, so what I want to talk to you about today is, for lead generation, I guess it's kind of twofold. So I'm going to talk about one piece of it that I know Adam talks about a lot. And just more my take on it. And then I want to talk to you about something else that I did in my practice. And, it's just proven to be successful if this is something that resonates with you, right? And I'm going to try to give you as much value as I possibly can in the time that we have together. And certainly you can reach out to me if you have questions. But let's talk about nurturing your database. So my coaching is all about lifestyle business mastery. And what I mean by that is asking you, the question is, do you own your business or does your business own you? And creating a lifestyle for yourself that you build a business around, rather than creating a business plan, having your manager ask you to do a business plan, which hopefully you have, and then trying to squeeze your life into that business plan. And that's so typical of us as real estate agents and mortgage lenders. We work I always said it was worse. I was pre-med, I was accepted pre-med to Colorado State University. I was going to be a cardiologist. And looking back, I think, gosh, would it have been more, hoity-toity to say I was a cardiologist? But the bottom line is I make more money than they do, and I'm much, much happier than they are, right? But the thing is, we're on call so often in our business. And I got to the point, and I'm sure all of you can resonate with this, several years ago, I'm horrible with time, so I can't tell if it's 12 or 15 or 8 years ago. But in typical fashion, I was out to dinner with the kids, because when mom cooks, that means we go out to dinner, right? Back then. And, we were out to dinner and the phone rang. And of course, what do? We say, oh, I have to take this. My client needs me. I'm sorry, I have to take this. I'll be right back. I'll be quick.
So true.
I went right outside and I started doing the tightrope walk on the concrete piece that, when you drive your car up and it stops you, right? And I'm walking that tightrope back and forth and back and forth and, being cordial to my client. And then I look inside of the restaurant, and this has happened 1,000 times, but this one time I looked into the restaurant, and there was my family with my husband, my kids and my husband, laughing and having unbelievable memories, and I wasn't part of it. And it really hit me that time. And in that moment, I said, it has to change. I have to have my family be priority. And my mom always had this quote, which was, we flatter those we scarcely know, we please the fleeting guests, but we deal many a thoughtless blow to those we love the best. And she said it all the time, and it didn't resonate with me. And I thought, I say my family is important. I say that my health is important, and that, anything else that I want in my life is important, travel, whatever it is. But I'm not living it. I'm not setting the boundaries to ensure that I'm having the lifestyle that I want. So that's when I created this lifestyle business management or business mastery, because I want people to have that lifestyle. In our business, we make a lot of money and we just don't experience the things that we want from it. And so I don't know why we get up every day and we're making the donuts, right? It's time to make the donuts, trying to, go and do the same thing again. But when are you going to enjoy it? When are you going to go on a real vacation and not be involved in the circle of chaos, which, is a whole other story, right? But I call them guilty vacations, because so many of us go on a lot of mini vacations and sometimes a vacation where we don't really shut down because we're worried about what's going to happen when we get back, right? What am I going to come back to? And I wanted to change things. And when I did, I was so worried that my business would go down, but it didn't. It actually manifested unbelievably well, and I was so much happier. And so one of the pieces of that, and without going through all the pieces of what I coach on, but one of the pieces of that is about your community. And so I ask you, are you nurturing or are you neglecting your community? And your community definition is every single person you meet in your database, and that's in your database. So these are your partners. These are acquaintances you've met that you've decided to put into your database. These are alumni clients, right? I don't call them past clients because in my mindset, they're past, they're gone. I call them alumni. I want to continue to have that relationship. All of your prospects, all of your in process, right? So everybody in your community. And so often when I hear from realtors and loan officers is that, and pardon me, realtors, but when realtors say, well, I send recipe cards, and loan officers say, well, I send a newsletter through a system, right? And whatever system you're using, I won't name any of the systems. And that to me is not nurturing your database. That's just sending something to them. To me, that's what you would call customer service. It's what you do to and for people. But creating a customer experience for your clients through that nurturing and that engagement is really what's going to make the difference in your business. So it's not enough just to send a newsletter or recipe card. You have to pick up the phone and say, hey, did you get it? How's the family? How are things going? I know that Adam is excellent at this, excellent at it. And I just want to be another sounding board for you to hear it from someone saying that it is so important to be able to call your database and say hello to them and just say, hi, it's Jen, and they know who I am. Doesn't matter where I work, doesn't matter what company I'm with this time, but to be able to say, this is Jen. and to have that, I'll call it an intimate business relationship. It's not necessarily an intimate relationship with everybody, but it is an intimate business relationship. And that, in and of itself, is one of the key factors, for my success in the business, being in the top 200 several times and then 1% for multiple years. But that's me. That's my personality. I want to engage with them like that. The other part about that is to make sure that you're working with people that complement and not complicate you and your practice. And I will say that one of the reasons a lot of people don't call people in their community is because they just don't like them. That's one of the reasons. One is the other might be, fear of what to say, especially, I have a client that I work with right now. She hasn't talked to anybody in 7 years. And she said, I don't want to call them, I'm so afraid. But we got over it. I helped her through it, and I supported her and gave her some ideas on what to do. And she's just so happy now because now she has rekindled. And these people, I promise you, it's your problem when you make the phone calls. It's your problem. Because when you call them, they love hearing from you. But I said to her, don't call anybody that was complicating for you. If we all have that loan, we're like, oh, never want to talk to that client again, or, a partner that you don't want to ever talk to again, then don't do it. Don't call them. But work with people that complement you. And that's hard to get to because if you're new in the business or you're struggling, you're like a cat on a marble floor in oil, right? And you just want everything and everything. But I just ask you, right from the get-go, work with people that are complementary to you, that work and align with you, because you're going to be so much happier, right, doing that. And it goes back to the lifestyle as well. That's one of the boundaries that we set, is we only work with people that we really, really like and we want to work with. So that's what I want to say on the community side and, for lead generation, because when I think about my practice, and I was so fortunate, and I don't know why this happened, but year after year after year, the base of so think of a 3-tier cake. The base foundation of my practice was 33% was from financial planners and attorneys. I had the certification of the CDLP, the Certified Divorce Lending Professional, and then a CMPS as well, Certified Mortgage Planning Specialist. 33% of my business came from them. The next tier, 33% of my business came from my past clients or alumni clients. And the top tier came from everybody else, including my A+ or top champion, whatever you want to call them, #1 realtors, right? I also call them my apostles because I only worked with a handful of real estate agents. And the sprinkling on the cake was the realtors and the people that I met here and there that sent me one family to work with, maybe once a year or twice a year, right? That was the sprinkles on the cake. But the basis of it was my financial planning business, and then the secondary was my community. And I think that's why it's real important for me to talk about the community. Now, why in God's name, every single year, I swear to you, it was 34.1 or 33.8% every single year. So I really worked my practice in a way that my activities were so laser focused because of the lifestyle that I wanted. My activities were so laser focused that every year I got that same exact amount, that 33, sometimes 34% in there. And so I love sharing that story because you can really fine tune and hone in on exactly where your business is going to come from. And for me, working with financial planners and attorneys was a very solid foundation because I knew I would get business and referrals from them regardless of where rates were, regardless of whether we were in a recession, regardless if market was hot or not, regardless if Trump or someone else got elected. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if there was a snowstorm, right? I would still get business from these people because people that work with financial planners are already there seeking advice and paying for advice. And therefore, when the referral comes to me, it's all about what level of advice I'm going to be able to give to them. And they have life events. They get divorced, people pass away, they get married, their kids go to school. No one's kids stop going to college or graduating from high school just because the market isn't hot, right? So all of these things led up to that. So for me, that was really key and critical to create a base business. Now, the other reason I created that business was that I feel as a mortgage lender, gosh, I was in the business for, I say 35 years, but when I was at Colorado State, I used to deliver title policies on my bicycle because we didn't have fax machines back then. I typed title policies for lawyers, title.
Jen, we don't have fax machines now.
I know we don't. We're back to yeah. What goes around comes around, right? But and so I was part of DECA, so I went in and I learned how to type and take shorthand because then, when I was going to graduate, all kinds of women were going to be, secretaries. That's what we were going to be. So half the day I did that, and half the day I went to lawyers' title and I typed title policies. And then later I delivered title policies on my bicycle at Colorado State. I don't know, it's kind of a funny thing. So being in the business, that long is, I've seen all kinds of fun stuff happen. But more importantly for me is that I realized that I had to up-level my expertise in our industry and not just be a typical, quote, loan officer, originator, broker. I wanted to make sure that that I was a resident expert, right? And that the people that were referring me knew exactly what I was an expert in rather than the master, the jack of all trades and master of nothing. I wanted to be the master of a handful of things. Because when you sell to everybody, you sell to nobody. And it's hard for people to know when to refer and not to refer. But when you have a niche, we talk about that all the time, niche to grow rich, right? When you have a niche that you can shine a spotlight on, then people are very easily there. It's easier for them to identify when and when not to send a referral to you. And then through your customer experience or your system, your perfect loan process or your perfect process, you can wow them and create that experience that they are so compelled to refer to you. It's like a revolving door of referrals, right? And they'll end up sending you everything. But we live in this thought process of being under scarcity. That if I only have one or two products, or not products, but specialties, that my business is actually going to fall off. And it doesn't. It's going to be higher. So when I was practicing, mine was jumbo, veteran. Now, remember, I learned everything from Colorado Springs. So I had all those veteran loans down in the Springs. And so I did veterans, I did jumbo loans, and then I love jumbo veterans. And being in outside of Washington, D.C., I was fortunate enough to do a lot of congressmen and senators' loans and all of their support staff, and therefore into the Pentagon as well. So I love those. And then the other niche for me was investors. I'm an avid investor, and I thought, well, if I want to play in their world, And so that was one of my specialties, was working with investors as well. So, so when I say that, I think, I'm in the financial sector. So why don't I speak to people in the financial sector? I speak the language that a financial planner does, and I speak the language, in that kind of that world. And so that's really where I took my business and my practice to, was working with financial planners and, again, attorneys, because I've been married 36 years, happily, no other marriages. Can you believe it, in the mortgage business? And I'm not an alcoholic in the mortgage business.
That one may be more rare.
I know. And I like cocktails, yeah. But, I just had this place in my heart for divorced people that, I just couldn't stand that they were, they weren't making those decisions the way I wanted them, or I felt that they should be making them. And they'd come to me and there was nothing I could do. So if I could circumvent and help, I would do that. So that's where my business, where I really started doing a lot of my business. So now I want to ask you real quick, Adam, do you have any questions on that part before I go to the next part? Like, how did I get to them?
I wouldn't necessarily say questions, but there are a couple of things I wanted to highlight just so that our audience hears it in a slightly different manner. I think one of them, and I think a big piece of this puzzle, and it may have actually been before we went live, so our audience didn't hear you say that your coach was beating you up.
Yeah.
Okay. And I really want for the audience to understand that coaches have coaches.
Yeah.
The really good ones probably recognize that they need as much help, if not more, than the people they're coaching on whatever that content may be. Um, and
Yeah.
to segue into this other point, one of these great coaches that you'll actually get to meet, he's also going to present at the Mile High Mastermind next month, sat me down in a far more brutal manner than where we started this conversation today with you. And he asked me to give him an idea of how my business looks, my mortgage practice, as well as my coaching practice. And he, after listening to this for 30 minutes or whatever the case may have been, he said to me, "You don't have a business, you have a job."
Yes.
And that you're great at your lead gen stuff when it comes to mortgage borrowers and to referral partners and to your coaching clients and so on and so forth. But your ability to recruit, to basically lead gen talent, to have people do what you do in your stead so that you're not the one outside the restaurant window pacing back and forth along the parking barricade while my family's inside doing whatever it is they're doing, which I guarantee you is far more enjoyable than the cell phone conversation I'm having with a potential borrower, real estate agent, whatever the case may be. And he was right. When he said you don't have a business, you have a job. And of course, the gist of it is that if I don't get up every day and do my job, there is no business. So there had to be a catalyst. There has to be a catalyst for those of you watching where you can do what Jen did. Take those vacations, make sure that things run, and wouldn't you know it, it didn't blow up on her. It didn't burn to the ground in her absence. In fact, if anything, it gave her a stepping stone for further growth, for further autonomy, for further lifestyle changes that enabled her to gain the success that she's got today.
Yeah, thank you for saying that because, you're right. I mean, I mean, there's so many directions I can go in. I think, what happened for me, and if I can have other people embrace this just by hearing it, it took me 25, 20, again, I told you I'm horrible at time. So let me think about this. When I turned 47, which was, I'll be 56 this year. I need a calculator.
You didn't have to share all that. I was going to say last week, but okay.
I know, like 9 years. I don't know. When I turned 47, what hit me was, oh my gosh, I'm 47. Now, I don't know why that was so magic, but I started counting and going 57, 67, because I guess maybe at the time, retiring at 65, it seemed like 67 was becoming a new number for something. And I said, I only have 20 years left in work. And the question was, could I tell someone that I was in the mortgage business for 50 years?
Wow.
And I said, yeah, no, I can't do that. I love the business, but I don't want to tell anybody that I've been doing anything for 50 years. It was just, I don't know, it was really weird for me. Now I coach realtors who say, no, I totally want to say I've been in the business for 70 years because you guys have this unbelievable means of being able to just hang your license and do referrals, right? And make money on referrals and receive passive income. But in the lending space, we can't do that, right? And I thought, okay, I've got to start building a bridge that helps me be able to create other passive income or other income channels. And, one of those channels was, I buy foreclosures. Another channel is that I have some Airbnbs, right? And so those were the channels. Another channel was me starting to do coaching. And it really wasn't because I needed a passive, it's not passive, but a channel for me. It was more that I really just wanted to help people. And that's where I'm at now. I have this compulsion to help people. But if I can, and the reason why is to condense the time that it takes you to have that realization. But I realized what was happening was I was chasing the deal. every month I was unemployed unless I was chasing the deal every single month. And so I didn't want to hit the reset button over and over, and say, okay, new month, new start all over, hit that reset button and try to make it work. What I wanted was a business that went up slowly but surely, right? And didn't have to go like this, didn't have to be flat, but, was just moving up that I could rely on. And that again is why I started switching over into the financial planning, really, really focusing into, the mortgage planning and financial planning world, because it was something I could rely on. It was a better avenue for me. Not to say that realtors aren't a great avenue, but the right realtor had to be the person that I was going to be working with, someone who was loyal, someone who was and it ended up going that way. In fact, I'm coaching one of them right now. And she said, Jen, she said, my business wouldn't be thriving if it wasn't for you. Not as a coach, but as a lender. And that's where I want to get with all of my partners, that they say, if I don't have you in my repertoire, as my inner circle, then my business doesn't survive. And so that really said to me, I really am providing value, but I'm not providing value based on what I think they want. I'm providing value based on what I know I can deliver to them. And there's a very distinct line between that, because a lot of people say, I just want to give value, I want to give value. But the value that they take to any relationship is a toolbox dump of show up and throw up. Right?
It is. No
That's
question.
Not delivering value.
No.
Delivering value is really understanding what the needs are of the people that you're working with, and determining if you can deliver that. Not saying, oh, those are your needs, but I'm still going to throw up and show up. But really, really delivering on those. And these relationships, I was just invited to her birthday party. She was at my birthday party. These relationships have morphed into rich relationships that are not only wide, but deep as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not just deep.
I think that's the 10,000 foot view that we find really, really important. Not a day goes by that we don't come across a real estate agent who says, oh, yeah, I'm going to refer you a business. We're going to be referral partner. I'm like, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I do. And the team that, makes my mortgage practice happen will certainly impress you. But the key word in referral partner relationship is relationship. Mm-hmm. The ones that are really going to provide you guys with success are the ones where you have that kind of genuine concern for the other's well-being, their success. Yes. You want to see their kids get through college. You want to go to their birthday party. And that, I think, is what Jen is getting at here, guys, is that the key to a referral partner relationship, a really successful referral partner relationship, is the relationship part. Have your best referral partners been to your home for dinner?
Right.
Those are the kinds of questions that you really need to ask yourself when you're evaluating the kinds of relationships that you're having in your business life, because where Jen started with all of this is that this is your lifestyle life, not just your career life. And do you spend time with these people where it's not you throwing up on them and them occasionally throwing you a buyer, because it's not how this should work.
Yeah, and it's not sustainable. It definitely isn't sustainable, because then you're always, always you said.
Well, you don't have that loyalty. You don't get that loyalty.
You're looking for somebody, right? Chasing, like I said, chasing a deal, but now you're chasing relationships. You're always looking for someone new to put in your database, just because I have thousands of people in my database, but if they don't know who you are, it doesn't matter, right? And eventually, you're going to run out of people, because your reputation is going to be that all you do is beg, plead, and whatever from everybody.
Throw up, yes.
And I think that, so let me kind of segue into what I wanted to share about this, because this is, what happens when we go to a meeting, any of us listening, right? We go to a meeting, we're like, oh, I finally got a meeting with somebody. And I don't care who it is. I mean, it could be a plumber, it could be anybody, it could be a client. And when you go to that meeting, we walk in there going, I hope they like me. It's like that Sally Field thing. They like me. They really
You really like me.
right? And you're walking and going, God, I hope they like me. Hope they like me. And so what you do is you talk really, really fast, which, by the way, I talk fast anyway, so I always have to kind of step on the gas a little bit, or on the brake. But you walk in going, oh, I hope they like me, so I'm just going to tell them, and I have this, and I have this, and we'll close on time, and I have all these products, and I have this, and I have this, and we're going to, take care of it, and our rates are great, right? And we walk in because we want them to like us so much, right? And we walk away from the meetings going, that was a great meeting. And if you had videotaped it, or if you recorded yourself doing that meeting to test your skills, you probably would have heard that they said nothing but 5 or 10 words. So what company are you with? Okay, well, maybe I could refer you because you just talk too much, right? So what if we went into meeting, and it's funny because it's like we're leaning in, right? We're leaning in, come on, get business with us, do business with us, right? And just climb. That's the cat on the marble floor. And what if we went into that meeting and set it up differently and said, hey, Adam, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time with me today. I know you get a lot of calls from a lot of people, and I don't take it lightly that you're willing to take some time with me. And so I want to make sure that it's the best possible time that we're spending together, because my time's precious too, and I get that. So I realized that there will be one of 3 outcomes to this meeting today. The first is that you'll decide that you want to work with me, and I would love that. But you may decide that I'm not a good match for you, and you may decide not to work with me, and I'm okay with that. That's why we're meeting, to see if we have some common interest in working together as partners. Get that? As partners. And the third is, I may decide after we've talked that you and the way that you work is not a good match for me and my team. And is that okay? And what you're doing is, and notice how my voice is, all of a sudden I'm not as frantic and I'm sitting back. And I did that intentionally while we're talking. I slowed my pace and said, I'm here to interview you as much as you're here to interview me. But by setting that pre-frame up of, you may decide to work with me, you may decide not to, and that's okay. However, I may also decide that this is not a good fit for me and my team. Now, for me, my team is my number one customer. If I work with someone who complicates my team, then my team is not going to look at me as a strong leader. And they're going to wonder, why is it she has to work with this person? Is it because they're the top realtor in the area? And is it worth it? And for me, it's for me. Okay, guys, it's for me. For me, it's not working with the top anybody if they complicate me and my team. Because I can't have the lifestyle that I want dealing with someone who hasn't figured that out for themselves.
Well, and you can't have the lifestyle you want without your team.
No way.
Right.
Absolutely. They'll leave me. Yeah, they'll leave me.
Absolutely. No, there's no question. And Jen, while we've certainly run long and even longer than I had expected, I want to make sure that our audience, because you're just this ridiculously valuable resource to all of these industries that have direct-to-consumer relationships in the large sales arena, give us the highlights on how people can reach out to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, the first thing is to reach out to me via my website, which is jenduplessis.com, which I'm sure you'll have a link because spelling Jen and spelling Du Plessis is very difficult.
There are 2 of you in this 3-person interview, and you spell your names differently. So yes.
Yes, I'm a 1N Jen. Yeah,
right.
She's a 2N Jen. Yeah. So we want to do that, but to reach out to me there, and if you'd like to jumpstart or just change your mindset, and recalibrate your mindset in your business, I have a free gift for everybody, and you can find that gift at jenduplessis.com/, something, 7 strategies. There we go. 7 strategies. And you can go there, and I have 7 strategies for you to just kind of, slow down to speed up instead of speeding up to slow down. You slow down. There's some thought-provoking questions for you to think about. Gosh, really, am I living the life that I want, or is my business controlling me? And, I want you to be able to look at that. So that's there if you're interested in that gift as well. But of course, I'm always available on social media. I mean, everything's at Jen Du Plessis. So
perfect.
There as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is certainly a treat for me. Certainly for Jen. I know she's excited to meet you next month. So we will.
I'm excited to meet her too.
Yeah. It'll be great.
I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity for me to share my message. And, I think that what happens is that our mess becomes our message. So the mess I was in now is my message. And so, if someone has a like-minded mess, I can help.
Perfect.
That's kind of what it is. But I thank you for inviting me on. I really do.
Oh, I promise you it's our pleasure. And to all of you watching live or in syndication, thank you as well. Jen, Jen, I hope you didn't have anything else to add. I feel like we neglected you over this entire conversation, but I do know you and Jen will spend some time together next month. Okay. Well, and for those of you watching, again, if you would like more information about Just the Tips, or if you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you would like a copy of Just the Tips, forward by Jen Du Plessis, then by all means use the text code at the bottom of your screen. You can text TIPS to 63566. Jen, don't go anywhere. We're going to run our extra, and we'll chat in just a moment.